see that changing with significant inventory models coming to play, or because the other connect is also somebody like Shopclues with 125,000 sellers, connecting simply the dots in terms, do you see the inventory models changing significantly and that bringing in speed for the market itself? So because one dot, like Sten said, is just connecting the inventory to the customer and making sure the customer experience fulfilled out, but also the second piece of really making sure that you have so many sellers spread out so many markets, connecting that part and making sure that the seller experience is really there and their products are being sailed through. Is that something you see from an inventory standpoint? Do you see that model changing significantly, or do you see that the marketplace would live through and build the speed that is required?
I can talk from my experience. We are not an inventory-led business, but a closer way of looking at inventory business would be that, so we have fulfillment centers, which are typically cross-docking facilities closer to the merchants, a larger pocket of merchants who are selling. See, in a marketplace kind of an environment, as an intermediary like us, right, we are helping a seller, right, or a small SMB, a small or medium business enterprise across the country to get inclusion into the e-tailing kind of an environment. So that's what we're doing essentially, providing them with a technology platform. When we link that to logistics, we link that to the experience on the customer side. An inventory model, all it is doing is that you are stocking the product, right? And once you get an order, you ship it out to the customer, right? So we're not doing anything different. We're enabling through picking up that product, getting it to a fulfillment center, and then shipping it out to the customer, right? Which is a cross-docking facility. So I don't think there is any difference between the two besides the regulatory environment, right? But from an experience point of view, I think more or less they're both the same to the customer.
What about from a B2B perspective? What would you say?
So, see, today from a B2B point of view, this whole supply chain efficiency or speed to the customer when we are talking about. So I'm looking at this right from the order placement to the time the customer receives this. And this goes through the multiple stages. Incidentally, in our case, there's nothing like whether the supplier can directly supply or whether I can directly supply. I have to print it for the customer. So whether it's a brochure, whether it's a visiting card, whether it's a T-shirt, whether it's anything. So I kind of make that after we receive the order from the customer. So what we have done is that on our portal where we receive these orders from the customer, we have built so much integration that it can directly throw out a print-ready file to our digital machines. So there is hardly any human intervention really required. So as and when the machine schedule is available, whatever orders have come in, they directly go into the print queue and they start getting printed. So thereafter, I'm driving efficiencies into how do I cut them, how do I pack them, how do I ship them. So we have currently integrated with a leading logistic provider. So they have installed their systems as a part of my packing system. So as and when our orders are getting packed, the delivery challan or the shipment notifications are already getting generated. They are being pre-labeled. They really come in the evening, pick up them, and then kind of ship it the same day. So we have really not tried to see whether the current logistic or infrastructure challenges are a problem. Yeah, wherever there are a problem, we are promising the delivery accordingly. So if somebody really want me to deliver something in Zirakpur, somewhere in Punjab, it's always a problem. We know that from our experience. So we are kind of promising it accordingly. But we have tried to cut down wherever inefficiencies are there, wherever the delays can be cut down. So that's how we have kind of tried to address. I'll add one more point to what you really kind of mentioned there. See, a problem is fundamentally where the innovation really starts. So you said that the logistic infrastructure in India is not perfect and never be perfect. Fundamentally, there are very, very small courier agencies which are really operating in different parts, and they are really, really good in that part. So like there is a marketplace to bring buyers and sellers, why can't there be a logistics marketplace to connect all these disintegrated suppliers and create a seamless workflow so that all the shippers as well as the receivers enjoy a particular level of experience, but still provide you the coverage all over India. So I have talked about this to a few companies, and they really like this idea. So let's see how, either me or somebody else will really build up this platform.
No, that's very, very point. As a matter of fact, we are already doing this on the aggregation model, both on the courier side as well as on the trucking side.
I think that's very important because Bread bus is exactly a great example. So why can't somebody do that for logistics?
Yeah. So, but just to finalize, close on that point, I think fulfillment centers closer, whether it's an inventory-led model or not, closer to the customer in a satellite form will be the answer. Amazon is trying to do this in the US now, because products like what he's shipping, if you're not closer to the customer, it's not going to work. So if you can figure out a model, optimum model where fulfillment centers, small or large, depending upon it, hub and spoke model, closer to the customer, I think that's where the rubber will meet the road.
I'll just add one more thing here. See, today we all buy something or other from our neighborhood kirana, and many times you will find something or other he does not have, and he will always promise you, madam, 2 घंटे में घर भिजवा दूंगा, या कल आपके घर पे भिजवा दूंगा, and 90% of the time he is able to supply that. So he has already built in an informal ordering or distribution channel. How can we tap into that? So for example, I was working with a company called InnoWorth, where we created a small system to computerize the kirana, but he was not willing to bill because of various other regulatory issues, which he did not want to do that. But can he have a small app by which we can kind of connect all these intermediaries in this and really provide that kirana or into a particular area that is the last point fulfillment center? So that can...
Sorry, just because you mentioned that, so I thought I'd just kind of add to that. Yeah, so you might have obviously, read about the initiative which we have started across the cities where we are present, wherein we are saying that we can work with the existing stores in cities and, for a limited range of products wherein people would want to get them in maybe, within half an hour or 60 minutes. So we are enabling kiranas in terms of technology, in terms of know-how, processes and stuff, so that they are able to tap into this whole growing e-commerce and deliver that value of closer to the customer kind of fulfillment for emergency need items, right? So we are pretty much doing that. So majority of the requirement of a particular household in terms of grocery is kind of met, if you have a same-day delivery concept, which is what we do. You place an order by 12 o'clock and receive by evening. That's kind of caters to your 85-90% of your requirements. The balance 10%, which is kind of emergency need, we are working with the existing mom and pop kirana stores to bridge that gap and then leverage them as a last point of fulfillment.
So existing network leverage, clearly, if you want to say.
Very interesting thing. So what we have been talking about, as Vishal mentioned, that they try to keep multiple fulfillment center close to the seller. But I think this is the first stage of the next level of fulfillment models. That is what we talk about, omni-channel or online to offline, whereby you order anywhere and supply from anywhere type. So I think we are stepping into it. And even today, as we are talking today, if we see the same fulfillment center model in terms of brands, most of the brands have got large number of stores across the country. Now, I think the next step for them would be that they take order online and get it delivered from the store which is closest to the customer.
Yeah.
And that is the model. I think that would definitely going to expedite the pace of delivery, and even with the same distribution network, we can have a faster delivery.
Right. So I think that raises the other interesting point, which is really around the form of payment. And we heard about COD earlier. Now, where do you really see the whole payment space going? Do you see that a large part of the transaction will continue to be cash on delivery, or do you see online payment tools or alternate payment methodologies at doorstep really picking up, or will that become a large part of business? And related to that is really the whole point of returns. And given that if COD is going to remain a large part of the business, and there is a fair linkage of that to returns, how do you really see the entire returns model being evolved and built by companies to really work around that and build a good supply chain for returns?
So I can just add on to it, but it's my personal perspective. So today we see that most of the returns which happen, maximum percentage happen in COD. That means the customer who is buying is not a genuine customer in most of the cases. So as the buying habits of the customer is going to evolve over a period of time, we'll see more genuine e-commerce happening, and hence the percentage of the COD order is going to reduce. Though it might take some time in India because Indian economy is still a cash economy, But I still feel with the genuinity of the e-commerce, I think it is going to improve.
Sure.
I just want to add there, Anurag. We see high, COD or transactions happening across marketplaces, though that's not the case with us. But that stems from typically from the low trust, internet being a low trust market till some time back. That will still take some time. That trust will still take some time to build, right? That's point number one. But I think we're not far away from other innovative ways of collecting money, right? So there can be cash before delivery, right? India Post, for example, can work as cash before delivery points, right? People still want to pay, they can pay in advance and the order can get booked, right, somehow. And obviously, efficient use of technology. POS, right? You can have POS mechanisms. A lot of third-party logistic companies have started POS collections. You can swipe your card at the time of delivery, so it necessarily you don't have to give cash. So these kind of innovative ways of collection will surely happen. So that's.
Let me add to this. I think mobile payment is going to revolutionize how payment is going to be done in India. I think that will be more trust. So today where we are, we've got wallets. In mobile wallets, and there's a lot of traction because there are a lot. There's some. I think it's payback money. A lot of individuals are using it. I see a lot of traction happening in that area. I completely agree with you that COD part is a little bit because of lack of trust. COD sees return rates of as high as 40%. It was a way for us to test and trust e-commerce. I think it's going to die a natural death over a period of time. I believe that. I think as payment mechanisms by the government are made more simpler, I believe mobile payment is going to be an amazing avenue, which will be more trusted avenue. And return rates in India today, though high, because we are still in the trial and error mode, e-commerce companies have become very smart at analyzing the data, identifying the culprits, and going after them and blacklisting them. And slowly, so global e-commerce return rates are around 10 to 12%. India today is at about 15%, excluding COD. And I think we're going to be in that 10 to 12% range over the next 2 to 3 years as Indian customer becomes more evolved, I would say, when it comes to e-commerce. So return is that part of it, but I believe that mobile payment is going to be the next big thing.
Great. Mr. Pandey, what would you say about, you see a lot of COD and you see how it's changing?
As I said, I fully agree that because it's all a matter of trust on two accounts. One, of course, yes, how comfortable we are with as far as the internet transaction is concerned. Definitely mobile is another way coming in. Maybe another thing is emerging is that some kind of a recharge coupons or this, what Gaurav talked about this payment well in advance, or these models will emerge definitely. But as things stand, I mean, I can only talk in terms of the traffic, what we are observing. I have no experience of how the business is shaping. But at least in a couple of years to come, this is going to, I mean, it will be a combination of all. Maybe in metros where people are comfortable with their debit card or card payment systems, COD is not an issue. But maybe when we extend our facilities to semi-urban and rural areas, I think that's going to stay for some time.
Sure. But do you see, for example, returns coming down, even in tier 1, where people are more comfortable? Do you experience?
RTS, yes. I mean, I stand educated by the figures, what has been quoted as to what is the, but perhaps in our case, what we have seen, it is slightly higher. And maybe, I mean, again, it's a mindset. It will change after some time because person may out of curiosity may order something, and then suppose there is a time lag between actual payment for the product and they change their mind. So all these things are, but I mean, give this industry some time and things will kind of settle down as to what model. But I think all of them will coexist in the near future to come.
Just I mean, stark contrast to a generic e-commerce kind of thing which you referred in terms of the percentage of returns. The category we are present in, though we have very high COD like anybody else, we are around 40-50% COD, but the return percentage is far low compared to the generic e-com. We are lower than 1% return on CODs because the category you are dealing in you are kind of waiting for that stuff, and as long as the quality of the stuff being delivered meets your requirement, you actually are not going to kind of return all of that stuff, right? So it's very, very low compared to the generic e-com, even though it's a COD. It is just a lot of people kind of just are mentally comfortable paying after they receive it. It's so versus in case of trust that I order something, will I get the same thing or not, is applicable for certain things. But then when it comes to grocery and fruits and vegetables, that kind of stuff, people just have a mindset of I will just have a look, I'll see, and then I'll pay. Right, and they find it good, then they don't return it. So we run a very low return percentage on that.
Interesting. Beneath your business, personally, I would assume largely prepaid. And
Yes.
what is your take on how forms of payment will evolve for your business?
So fundamentally, so we run three kinds of businesses. So in Print Bindas, we have a B2C, which is fairly limited, and we are not investing significantly onto that. Then we have education as a market, and then we have B2B as a market. So in B2C is 100% prepaid, and we have very, very minimal return only because of product quality or delivery having really delayed, very much like you. Because a consumer or a customer is really actually ordering a printed item or a gift item, or is ordering a visiting card or some brochures. So he will not return back if he has received that in good quality and he has received them in good by the due date. So there is no return problem. In education sector, we largely work on almost all IITs and all IIMs and all ISBs we have been working with. But there we predominantly get 50% in advance, and then we execute their job, and then we deliver. So absolutely no problem as far as cash handling is concerned. We are now expanding internationally, so we really want to go into all international market, and so definitely there is no cash on delivery or postpaid model available for us. We will continue to work completely on prepaid. On prepaid, we sometimes get into a little bit of payment collection and some chargeback kind of problems, but those I guess are very universal and not really anything to do with cash collection.
Interesting. So I think that said, so I think we've heard some interesting views from the panel here in terms of clearly there is an evolution happening towards building for the customer experience. There is a play on technology. There is a large play on existing networks. So there is hope to build a profitable operation and a profitable supply chain network that can really deliver this entire customer experience.